Hi, welcome to Watershed and to our Immersion showcase. My name's Jo Landsdowne, I'm the executive producer here and I'm part of the Southwest Creative Technology Network project team. First of all, I just wanted to say we do have sign language interpreters here with us this morning. If you require them to keep signing, would you please just raise your hand? Okay, thanks Pascal. They are staying with us for the rest of the day, so if at any point you need anything, just let us know. So the running order of the day, I'm just going to talk us through it a little bit. It looks like a fairly complicated programme, but don't worry, it's fine. It's simple really, and there's lots of us here to help you navigate it. So we're going to kick off this morning. In a moment, I'll hand over to John Dovey to just introduce a little bit of the programme. And then we've got two panels and a keynote before lunch. So this morning really is our kind of thought leadership part of the day. It's primarily an opportunity for you to hear from some of the 27 fellows that we've funded through this part of the programme. And mostly to listen and to think and to reflect on what your own questions about immersion might be. Then we'll have some lunch, and we are giving you a packed lunch today, so it's a beautiful day. There'll be an opportunity for you to go and hear a further talk over lunch while eating your lunch in the Pervasive Media Studio if you'd like to do that. I'll tell you a little bit more about it later on in the running. Or you can go off, stroll along the water, find an interesting person, sit and eat your lunch. You never know what might happen. And then we'll come back here and we will introduce you to the prototypes, and you'll see a set of films which introduce you to the work that they've been doing. And then the afternoon is an opportunity to go and explore them, meet people. There'll be more talks, experiences, prototypes. And that's the moment where we ask you, I guess, to not passively listen, but to really engage, to ask questions, to feedback, to play with things and to share your own thoughts, to be aware that the people sharing work here today are early on in their ideas and their making, and they're brave in opening it up at this stage to a public audience. So we'd like you to engage with them on those terms and really be kind of active in the day. So we really hope that you'll have a comfortable day. It's hot. Drink lots of water. We've got some sun cream if you need some sun cream. Leave and go to the loo if you need to go to the loo. Tell the team what you need. That's kind of the way we like to do things here. So please just talk to us if there's anything that you need that hasn't been made clear to you. You will hopefully get a sense during the first part of the day that we as a project really like questions. We kind of always start from a point of questioning, really, and a lot of the time we don't find the answers. Before I hand over to my esteemed colleague and project director, John Dovey then, I'd just like you to have a look on the back of the lanyard that you were given on your way in, and you will find a couple of the research questions that our fellows have been exploring over the last 6 months or so. Take a moment, read those questions, and then we'd like you to just turn to the person next to you. Some of you have done that thing at conferences where you've not sat next to someone because that feels a bit weird. So shuffle along, get cozy, and have a chat with someone next to you. If you know the person next to you, maybe turn to the other side, see if there's someone you don't know, and just share your question with them. They'll probably have something different because there's loads of questions. Tell them about what your question is and just have a little chat about what it makes you think about.
Thank you. My name's John Dovey and I'm the director of the Southwest Creative Technology Network, and it's a great privilege and an exciting moment for us to be here today and to welcome you all to Watershed. I hope that's given you a bit of got your brains just loosened up a little bit for what's going to be happening over the course of this morning and for the kinds of things we're going to be talking about. The project is really all about dialogue between different people, so we've just enacted the first stage of our research methodology right here in the room. So Southwest Creative Technology Network slips off the tongue a treat, doesn't it? Our partners in this enterprise are the University of the West of England, which is where I work, Watershed and Collider, who are our producing partners, Watershed here, Collider in Exeter, Bath Spa University, Falmouth University and Plymouth University. So you can see that what we've been trying to do is to build a network right across the southwest. We've chosen a bunch of partners who we all had some history with, we had some knowledge of. They were people who had post-92 universities, all of whom had a history of working in media arts. So for me personally, it's been a great pleasure and excitement to work with a bunch of people who are already in a very similar kind of space in terms of their trajectories and histories around creative technology and media work. The project is funded by our very great friends at Research England. So thanks to Research England for making all this possible. Research England were able to acquire some cash from the Industrial Strategy Fund 2 or 3 years ago now, and used some of it to do something, to create a fund that was about creating capacity. So creating new capacity across universities, the research base and industrial sectors to produce different kinds of outcomes. Our method for creating capacity has been to run a fellowship program fueled by a prototype, followed by a prototype program in each of 3 themes, the first of which is immersion, which we're here to think about today, with automation and AI just starting off as a cohort and data yet to come later on this year. The capacity we build will be in the new relationships between researchers, creative businesses, new and inclusive talent in an attempt to identify the future leaders of the immersive sector in our region. So we place an enormous amount of emphasis on connecting diverse people to build new networks of creative and industrial capacity across the region. So part of our success for us will be measured in how the people that we fund find new ways of working together that we couldn't have predicted. The way that they will build new creative relationships to bring new products and services and jobs to the region in the future. In this instance, we took a particular view of immersive. We looked at the sector in the southwest. We looked what was out there, what our capability was as a group of researchers in universities and producers. And we decided that we wanted to take a very broad view of the potential for immersive at this moment in time. Right now, it's one of those creative ideas that means lots of different things to different people. And that's great because it means it's a space that's full of possibility. It seems to us that there have been 2 strands at work in thinking about immersion. One's about this kind of idea of a complete whole body experience of being surrounded by content in, for instance, immersive theatre, sonic arts, art installations, and indeed on dance floors. And the other where these kinds of wraparound sensory experience are being industrially reconstituted through various forms of technology, most notably VR, virtual reality, but also augmented and mixed realities. So the basic design principle for our immersion program has been that the industrial and creative development of the newly emergent platforms will be driven by an inclusive talent development program with expertise in lots of existing forms of immersive art practice. So we chose our research fellows from storytellers, theatre, filmmakers and artists to work with technologists to keep the field fresh and to keep it open. After all, cinema was built when Hollywood sucked in every kind of creative and scientific talent, writers, engineers, lab scientists, electricians, lighting geniuses, set designers and builders, actors, musicians, composers, and of course producers. It took all kinds of different talents to create a commercial art form, and it seemed to us that that might be where we are when we think about immersive art forms right now. So we wanted to see what would happen if creatives and artists from lots of different traditions gathered in the space called immersive to see what they came up with. So we chose storytellers, installation artists, live music projection experts, sonic artists, engineers, theatre makers, game makers, a dancer and a granite sculptor to come together to ask questions and to produce new ideas for new works that would take us into an immersive future. We need the full range of creative disciplines to be engaging with the field to make the Southwest an engine for original new immersive content. We're also interested in how markets for immersive services are emerging in much more than entertainment, arts or culture. So we've encouraged our cohort to think about what's called spillover applications, in other words, where you move from a creative industries context into health or engineering and other kinds of spaces. And you'll see some of that later in the day. The other thing that I think has been characteristic of some of the work that we've done in prototyping is trying to find new ways, new business models for companies. I think one of the issues, if you're a creative industries SME, you rise or fall on the basis of your content. It's always about what's the next good idea you can have, what's the next piece of work you can make. It's a particular kind of business model. So we've encouraged our prototype companies and partners in that enterprise to think about how can they turn the expertise that they already have into some other offering or business service to the world. How can they turn the experience they've already got into something that looks more like a different kind of income stream than just the next great idea? So we've been trying to think about more stable and sustainable ways of creating business models for creative SMEs using newly immersive forms and trying to map what those possibilities might be. So some of the fellows that you'll meet from this group have gone on into making prototypes, and some have produced research in another variety of forms or used their fellowships to apply for more funding for ideas that they worked on with us. So that exemplifies, I think, the idea that we put together a group of diverse and inclusive talents and help them to form new relationships that will go forward to do new work in the future. You'll find some of the ideas that have driven our work and some case studies that represent our approach to framing immersion in this publication that you've been given called Framing Immersion, which I want to thank Mark Levy, here in the room somewhere, for taking on for us and authoring. Thanks very much, Mark. I think it's a great summary of where the field is at the moment in a very light-footed way, so thank you for that. I also want to thank the amazing team who've set up the Southwest Creative Technology over the last year. This is the end of our first program of 3, and it's been a very, very busy and hectic time. We've been appointing people all year, and it's just amazing to get to this point, and they are a very, very talented group of people. And in this instance, they've been led by our lead producer on Immersion, Hannah Brady. I want to give a particular round of thanks for getting us to this point. She's been absolutely immense in holding the space and getting us to this point, so thanks, Hannah. Yeah. So I hope very much that you enjoy your day with us and find some stimulation, some excitement and some opportunity in the work that we've invested in so far, and you want to join us in the journey and carrying it forward into the future. I'm going to hand over now to Julia Scott-Stevenson, who's going to host the first panel of the morning and discuss some of the issues that I've just introduced and unpack them with some case study conversations with some of our fellows. So Julia, over to you. Thank you.